The Senran Kagura series is quite notorious for how ridiculously lewd it can be. The series has games that range anywhere from these action-packed and dramatic stories to borderline hentai. Listen, I'm not gonna be mad about it though, because I am only a man. A man who enjoys the simple pleasures in life, like watching girls beat the hell out of each other while wearing nothing but a swimsuit. You know, nothing too crazy. Out of all the Senran Kagura games, this has to be the most odd one so far though. And I didn't think that any of these games would take me by surprise. But this plot is one of the goofiest that I've played through in the entire series. But don't think I'm a complete fool though, because if you really think I bought this thinking that the story will be good, then you got me all the way f***ed up. Just looking at the box art, I knew I was throwing myself into some absolute bullshit, and I'm shocked they even tried throwing a story together for this. The game starts off with a gaming competition at an arcade that Haruka runs. Asuka, Yumi, Riona, Murasaki, and Yomi all enter this tournament. Riona, being her clumsy self, ends up getting her hands on some kind of furry potion, turning her into this half-woman, half-dog abomination. It also spreads to the other girls, who become half furries too, which is the excuse that they have for why they all look this way. But we all know the real reason is because, just like those artists on Twitter, these devs were trying to get that bread from the furries. I can't blame them too much though, because those dudes definitely have the money to blow on some of the worst stuff imaginable. But I'm convinced that these games won't stop until they cover as many kinks as they possibly can. I'm just hoping that they don't start getting too comfortable and get into the darker side of things. Like, I'm cool with them getting a little bit weird, but just don't get all nasty on us. But anyways, back to that plot. Haruka does have a cure for the furry disease, but of course she can't just give it to them normally, right? No. Instead, the cure is in these balls that we have to play with and bust open to cure them. Pause, by the way. So the plot has us luring each girl onto these pinball tables and playing a whole game just to give them the cure. Totally normal for a Japanese game. But pinball is the kind of game that you can't possibly screw up. You got a ball, you got some paddles, and you have some doodads that light up and make noise when you hit them with the ball. Pretty simple stuff. And the gameplay here ain't anything to talk about because, well, it's no different than playing that 3D space pinball game on your computer. Except with half-naked furry girls to fling your balls at. Although I'm sure that this isn't the first game to have the idea of a not safe for work pinball game. But it's not breaking any molds and doing something that a normal pinball game couldn't. Unless you're dying to get your rocks off to this. Just like most of the Senran Kagura spin-off games, you aren't gonna have a good reason to play this unless you're a fan of the series. It doesn't reinvent the game of pinball, but acts as a whole new way to be a total degenerate. The more interesting thing here is the boards themselves, but there aren't a whole lot to play on. There's only 2 boards that you can play on throughout the entire game, with variations on them just being the time of day. And here I was thinking maybe the DLC will at least give us an extra table or 2. But no, it's only the usual scantily clad costumes and overpriced background music packs. And I'm not saying that I want to pay for any DLC for this, but it would have been nice to have an option for more than just 2 different tables. There's scenarios and events that take place on each of the boards depending on where the ball lands. Like shooting it into this pool so the dolphin can spin a roulette. And depending on what it lands on, it will get you some extra buffs like a golden ball that gives you 3 times the points. There's also this menu on the side of the screen with different objectives for what you can do to get more points. And I don't usually pay much attention to it, but if you want the highest score possible, that's where you're going to want to get the bonus points. Either way, the game ends when either you run out of balls or when you activate a mini game with the girls 3 times. Each of these mini games being the most obvious kind of fan service that you'll see in the game. Because what other pinball game will let you do this? All these mini games are timed and end in something pervy like ice cream falling on the girls, or with them being sprayed with water from a rubber duck. But I can't tell if this is more or less tame than the last game we covered in the series. Going from awkwardly groping the girls to now spanking them with pinball paddles while they're also half furries is a whole new level of weird for me. on some kind of shit that is impossible for me to wrap my mind around at times. But like we always say with these games, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. If you're not out here buying the main series Senran Kagura games with the hack and slash combat, you're more than likely gonna be playing something that will bring dishonor on you and your cow.
I'm sorry, Bessie. I had to do it for the views.
But for what it is, I don't think it's a horrible game. Just not something to dive straight into if you have no idea who any of these girls are to begin with. The fans out there should already have a tolerance for this stuff, so you know what you're getting yourself into already. But I do recommend that you do get it on sale though, cause $30 for some pinball game just ain't the moves. I don't care how much lewd stuff is in here, it's really hard to justify that. Plus there's DLC here for costumes and music, which you'd have to expect from the series by now. And not to mention, if you even think about getting this game physical on the Switch, you're gonna have to pay 3 times more. Gotta love those scalpers. And yeah, it's not even a special edition either, it's just the game and a case. Oh, but if you just want the game, it's only going to be $60 instead, so there's that. Let me know in the comments if you would put out the bread for this mildly sexual pinball game. And next time we will be talking about the final spin-off game and see just how wet these girls can get. You know, cause it's a water park game with water guns. Also check out my Senran Kagura Reflections video if you haven't already, and see which of these two games is more weird for yourself. Subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.